Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to our September 2023 WIMPol webinar program. You're all welcome. On behalf of the founders, the board of trustees, management team at the HQ, ably led by Mrs. Hansatu. On behalf of the committee of chairperson, WIMPol, I want to welcome each and every one of us for this program. You are all welcome. My name is Anne Dozenukora, the vice chairman, WIMPol committee. So you're all welcome. Please, can we have on the chat board where you're joining us from, please? Can you just start buzzing where you're seeing us from, please? Can you just put it on the chat button if you're from Lagos, Abuja? If you're from Lagos, Abuja, Kaduna, America, London, anywhere you're joining us from, please, can we see you? You are all welcome to our program today. Can I, at this point, introduce to you WIMBIZ, Women in Management, Business and Public Service. WIMBIZ is a non-profit organization that has over the last 22 years implemented programs that inspire, empower, and advocate for greater representation of women in leadership positions in the public and private sector. WIMBIZ is a volunteer-based organization funded largely by donations and contributions by members of the partners. And is a supporter for the Code of Ethics and Conduct for NGOs. For more information about WIMBIZ, please visit www.wimbiz.org. At the end of this session, a link will be shared for a quick evaluation. Please endeavor to complete the evaluation as we would love to have your feedback. Your feedback matters to us. We kindly invite our dear participants who are WIMBIZ associates to join us today for inquiry. Please contact us via membership@wimbiz.org. Thank you. And at this point, I want to call on our chairperson, WIMPol, Ms. Funlola Akiode, for her opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you, everybody. My job is very easy here. It's just to set the tone for this meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, we heartily welcome you to this WIMBIZ WIMPol virtual program tagged Women in Politics, Mastering Strategic Leadership. WIMPol stands to encourage and equip women to become more relevant in the political leadership space, possibly as active, engaged citizens who have the desire and ability to deliver good governance. Let's have a little background first. At the 2014 WIMBIZ Annual Conference, an issue reignited was the low representation of women in politics, the dearth of suitably qualified professionals, and the effect of this gap on national development. As a result, WIMBIZ Women in Politics, WIMPol, was introduced as a platform to bridge the gender gap in Nigerian politics by training existing and intending female politicians on the required skills for leadership roles. But there is a dismal presence of women participants in Nigerian politics, and it appears that our fortune has been on the decline. Years 2011 to 2015 had the best showing so far for women in the Federal House of Representatives, with 7.2%, or 26 women representatives. On the other hand, the year 2019 to 2023, with 7.3%, or 8 women in the Senate, has been the best for women. With respect to the 2023 elections, out of a total of 3,122 candidates for Federal House of Representatives, only 288, or 9%, were women candidates. Of this number, only 15, or 4.6% women were elected. The Senate was no better, where out of a total of 1,101 candidates, 92, or 8.4%, were women, and only 4, or 3.4% of them got elected into the Senate. Looking at the African continent, in women representation in African parliaments ranking, Nigeria takes the 54th position, which is the last. Compared to Rwanda, which takes the number 1 position with a combined average total of 48%, Nigeria had 5.5% representation. But we're encouraged that for the first time in history, we have 6 female deputy governors and 3 women in the Senate are heads of committees. We applaud states like Edo, Ekiti, Kaduna, Kogi, Lagos, and Ogun, which have fulfilled the 35% quota in the affirmative action. We are more determined than ever to groom, prepare, and possibly persuade some of our women to launch into the political arena. The various options of elections, nominations, and appointed positions must be explored. We need more women, not only to show interest, but be intentional and actively join the supply side of this leadership chain. As we embark on this journey today, we shall critically look into the prerequisites of commencing your political journey. It is important to know the experiences of other women and the lessons learned, take innovative approaches, and evolve strategic methods in creating leadership positions at all levels. On behalf of WIMBIZ founders, Board of Trustees, the Women in Politics Committee, and the larger WIMBIZ community, I would like to extend our gratitude to all participants, speakers, our organizing team and management in this effort of empowering women. I welcome you and hope that together we will inspire, challenge, and enable more women to be involved in political governance. This is the only way to shape a better future for all. I thank you all for listening. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you, our able chair, the chair that produced many women. Thank you. Maybe without your committee, there couldn't be any woman in the Senate today. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. On this note, we want to call on Mr. Jimmy Agbaje for a goodwill message. Mr. Jimmy Agbaje is the pharmacist, former national treasurer of Afenifere, and former Lagos gubernatorial candidate for PDP, one of our favorites. We welcome you, sir. Please give your goodwill message. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, to join you, to join WIMBIZ, WIMPol. Any opportunity to have more women in politics, I think we should all put some effort. So I'm happy to be here. Well, thankfully, I'm not the one sharing experiences. I'm not the one giving the speeches today. I'm also to listen and to kind of put in a word here and there when I can. But I think in sharing this with you is to give my personal experience. In 2015, when I ran for governor or for the primaries in my party at that time. I was relatively new. I think I was about 3 years old in the party. I won the primaries. And having won the primaries, I needed to choose a running mate. And I decided that I would be gender sensitive and that I wanted a female deputy governorship candidate with me. And of course, because I was relatively new in the party, it was going to be difficult to choose just anybody. When you're in politics, when you have won the primaries and they look at you as an outsider, the fear of politicians is that when you now bring your own deputy from outside also, then they are totally marginalized. So I needed to pick a candidate, a female candidate of Lagos State origin from within the party. And you will not believe it, but those that were considered qualified for the kind of deputy governorship candidate I was looking for, we could only pick 2 within the party. There were only 2 that we could pick from in the entire party in Lagos at that time. So again, like I said, that's a lesson for us that we couldn't even find enough women to pick from. We only had 2, and I had to pick one of those 2. Now, there are many women that play politics, but they play politics at the grassroots level, not at the professional level, not at the higher level. And so I ran the race with that. In 2019, when I ran again and won the primary for the party, of course, at that time, I was now, an old member of the party. And so nobody was going to dictate to me where I was going to get my deputy governorship candidate from. And I decided that I wanted the best. Again, within the party, I didn't find anybody that would suit, the purpose that I was looking for. And I decided that I would go outside the party and get somebody to come in to be my running mate. And so, of course, what did I do? I spoke to 1 or 2 friends, sisters in WIMBIZ and said, look, I'm looking for someone. I didn't tell them I was looking for a deputy governorship candidate. I said I was looking for someone who would be part of my government, but, who had these qualities, that quality and all. And believe it or not, that was how I got my running mate in 2019. So I picked somebody completely from out. But this is just to show that whatever we say, whatever the women are doing, there's a gap. There's a very big gap. And that the women are not yet there. At least I can speak for Lagos. They're not there yet. And so you find, and it's always very difficult, by the decision I took to bring somebody in from the outside created its own problems because, like I said, those within the party feel that, oh, we've worked for you, and then you just come and bring somebody from outside. And so that's why, for me, we must encourage women to come into politics. It's good. I mean, if nothing else, they represent half of the population of our country. So they must be properly represented. There are, within the political parties, affirmative, there's affirmative action. But you can really push it to a limit. If you don't have people to choose from, what do you do? And I think that's really what I want to bring across to you today in terms of my experience, that we need to ask ourselves, and it's only for women, ditto for professionals generally. So I'm saying that these are issues, but for me, it's to sit back today and enjoy it. I thank you very much for giving me these few minutes, and I wish us happy webinar program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much. We know very well that you love women, and your deputy really talked good about you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for all the initiatives you take just to make sure that women are comfortable and are in governance. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Okay, yes. We are going into why we are here today, I'm going to introduce our first speaker for today. He is no other person than a lot of names for him. The topic is going to treat today is touching the path to political governance. And I want to introduce to you Right Honorable Onofio Luke, former honorable member, House of Representatives, former Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. Sir, it might interest you to hear today that I have someone from your place who told me that you are the best among the best. When he saw you, he said, wow, you have a wealth in wisdom. So you are going to display it to us today. So we welcome him, and he's a former student leader. He's a personal assistant to a member of State of House Assembly, like I said earlier. He's a barrister, married. He's the president of University of Uyo Alumni Association and member of the Institute Governing Council. He's blessed with wife and children. So we welcome you to take us to this program further. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Honorable. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much, the Vice Chair. And I will first start by thanking God Almighty for a beautiful day and for life, and for us to be on this other side of the planet to engage towards making humanity a better place. I want to appreciate WIMBIZ for extending this, specifically WIMBIZ for extending this invitation to me to share some thoughts, share some lessons, share some stories with us as to reposition our women, or I could say, so that it can guide our women to re-strategize towards attending better positions in the public service. I want to commend WIMBIZ for this initiative. In this aspect, I'm speaking about WIMPol. You know, WIMBIZ, I have been a beneficiary of WIMBIZ. The moment I saw, when I got into public service and I saw this advert for the annual conference, I think about 2 or 3 times, I've enrolled my wife to attend. One time I came to wait for her at the Balmoral Event Center in Lagos. And I have been close to what WIMBIZ have been doing. And but WIMBIZ before now, just like has been stated, has been more involved in raising leaders, women leaders in the business sector, in the private sector, somehow neglecting involvement or neglecting the accommodation of the aspect of building women into the political space. And I want to appreciate WIMBIZ and WIMPol for this idea, and I want to appreciate this this webinar. I want to underscore the importance of what you're doing. Today, as we are, our lives are being influenced by policies and legislations that are churned out either by the executive or the legislature. And there are only individuals in the public space that churn out these policies, and they affect our lives one way or the other. For instance, what we are experiencing today, when I said experiencing, both in the good aspect of it and in the challenging aspect of it, is a statement by Mr. President, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the day of inauguration. Just a sentence: subsidy is gone. And today we are experiencing the challenges of it. Yeah, I know in the long run is going to deliver good. That's my own personal perspective, and I've always believed in the removal of subsidy. And now, even before the pronouncement of Mr. President, the legislature at the 9th National Assembly, which I was a member, in the 2023 budget, that's the 2023 Appropriation Act that we passed, we only made provision for subsidy up till June 2023. And so there was no budgetary provision for the payment of subsidy from June 2023. And so Mr. President was only coming to give what I could call policy statements to back up the legislative position that was already taken by the National Assembly. The other one is the issue of VAT. VAT was increased from 5% to 7.5%. That's a policy decision, and then it reflected in the Finance Act that we passed in the National Assembly. The other one is the business climate, the amendment to the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, which impacted on the ways of doing business, which virtually would impact our lives. And so what am I saying? I'm saying this to underscore the fact that there is need for women to sit at the table, not only at the business table, but for women, more women to sit at the political table so that decisions that are going to be taken are going to be influenced by them for the positive outcome of those decisions on the lives of not only the women, but the lives of the entirety of the populace. And I read one quote by Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, said, "I'm only carrying my responsibility as a mother to the public space." And so we know what mothers do. And so I assume, I draw an inference from that statement, I draw an inference from what I have observed so far, that we have more women on the political space, that we are going to have more humane policies, more humane decisions. That is because they think more about their children, they think more about welfare. And so by extension, which is what government should do, thinking about the welfare of the populace, in this case, the citizenry are the children. So we would have more human decisions being taken. Now I'm asked to share some stories. Because of the way things are right now, and sometimes they are quoted out of context, I'm given to writing and then sharing my slides. But I was in the context paper I was given, and in the executive summary, I was asked that it's just pure story and speaking from the heart. And I'm asking God to guide me that I don't say something tomorrow that I'm being quoted out of context. But all the same, when we want to do what is right, we must know that we must overcome and come above all challenges. I want to take off from the position canvassed by our great leader in our party. Then our party, I'm a member, pardon me, I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party. I joined the party in 1998 as a student leader, and I'm still in the party today. I'm talking about Sir Jimmy Agbaje, one time a strong member of our party, someone I was rooting for to become the national chairman of our party when we needed to reform the party because of what he stands for and what he represents. And he talks about the choice of women to have been the running mate. And there's something that was not included in my bio. I was an aspirant, a governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party in my state in the last concluded elections. And I came second in that primaries. I desired to serve my state as the governor by the decision of the powers that be, and I believe by the will of God, my brother Pastor Mono had to take the party's ticket. And he had picked a woman as the running mate. And coincidentally, that is the woman I wanted equally to pick as my running mate. Why? Because she has risen through the public service. She's been a commissioner. She's been a member of the board of governing council of our institution out there. And she's been a minister of housing, and she's been a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She is well-schooled and she's educated. And so any well-tested politician that needs results would always go for people with good credentials. And distinguished High Excellency Senator Akon Eyarayi, the present deputy governor of the state, has that credentials, and she's the person I would have picked as my deputy governor. What am I saying in this essence? In that nobody would just go and look for any woman. We will always look for a woman who is going to bring political capital on board of any ticket for those who are running for executive positions like the governorship elections. And so not just a woman who is going to bring political capital, a woman too who is going to bring intellect, who has the intellectual acumen, who is well-schooled, who can, because rightly so, the deputy governor, unfortunately, we don't see it this way in Nigeria, but the deputy governor or the vice president should be seen as an alter ego of the president. That in the case, it should be that it should actually be, let's forget about the untoward circumstances that might happen. Let's look at the completion of the term, whether it is 4 years or 8 years, depending on the constitution of that particular geographical entity. At the completion of the term of office of the chief executive, naturally, if the chief executive had performed better, then it should be the deputy governor taking charge and then assuming that position. And so I was asked to talk about touching the path of political governance. And I believe that some of the lessons I'm going to share and stories are just going to be general lessons. I only needed to start to show that the women has to be prepared. The women has to be educated. They have to be involved. One, nobody would actually come and pick you if you don't have a party card. Right now that we are running a party system. We've not been able to do the constitution. We've not been able to make an alteration in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria yet to make for independent candidacy. And so for you to contest any election, you must be a member of a political party. In most or some instances, even at the level of appointment, let me take, for instance, I have sat as a Speaker of the House of Assembly. I've sat as a Speaker of the House of Assembly, and then commissioners are asked to come for screening. Those who are commissioner nominees are asked to come to the House of Assembly. And that one of the things, one of the requirements is the membership card of the party. And when you don't have, it becomes a problem. That is when they are rushing to go and meet their ward chairman and their chapter chairman of the party. And for them to be given that party card, they have to part with huge sum if they were not originally registered members of the political party. So in touching that part to political governance, the very first thing I would advocate today is that the women, I have seen a situation where a commissionership nominee was almost going to be screened out because he or she did not have the party card. And so I want to urge the women, don't feel that the political party should be where you go to, where you want to contest election only. You have to enroll, you have to enlist, you have to register in the political party. That is the basis of the commencement of active participation in politics and in public service. Then touching the political party, I started my journey right in school. And coincidentally, I decided I was drafted to run as the vice president of the student union government under a lady, then she was Mrs. Ijoma, and then she's now Ijoma Igbo Mabusi, she's from Imo. And I was asked to run as her deputy. And I gladly decided to. She was a law student, she was my senior in law. And then why did I decide to run under her? I saw her resume, I saw what she stood for, I saw what she represented, and I said, I can gladly submit myself to run as a running mate to this lady. And so not only should you belong to a political party, you have to educate yourself. You have to get not just education as in the formal education as to your area or field of study or specialization, but education in politics, education in public service, education in current affairs, education in public service, in the things that happen around you. And so that you are versatile in all ramifications. If you are asked to discuss on public finance, you can do that gladly. If you are asked to discuss on health, you can do that gladly. If you are asked to share some thoughts in agriculture, you can do that. That makes you a well-rounded individual. And so I decided to run as a deputy, but somewhere along the line, things changed. She did not contest again. And I got this idea in me to run for the student union government president of the university, and I did. And then that is where I started developing a passion to serve. Not only should you wish, whether you're a man or a woman, should you just wish to go into public service. There must be a purpose and reason. Some people decide to go to public service because probably because they love the motorcade or because they've heard about the privileges and perks of office. But What will endure you? What will make you persevere? What will make you stand above trials and tribulations when you are faced with them in public service is the purpose for which you are engaged in public service. And for me, service is it. And when you are devoted and passionate with what you are to do, which is service, I can say that just like I read in The Alchemist, the universe, whatsoever you desire, if you desire to save the people, the universe will conspire to work in your favor. And so touching that part is that education, political education, just like we have gone into an area where people are consciously taking financial education, what they call financial literacy or digital literacy. I want to urge the women to take political literacy very serious. Don't just watch movies. The women should, with due respect to those who don't just only restrict themselves to watching movies, we should actually be listening to news across the globe, across the world. We should know what is happening in the different sphere. We should know what is the in thing. We should talk about now, what do we need to do? We are talking about climate change. We are talking about emission right now. We are talking about climate financing. These are the things that are going to be global. We are talking about clean energy. So women should be able to follow the trend so that wherever they find themselves, they are not going to be found wanting, because yes, we have a challenge presently in the country where mediocrity, with due respect to where we have excellence, but mediocrity seems to be the order of the day. But gradually we are going to phase that out, where people are going to be sought after, not for who they know and not for what they are able to part with, but for what they know and for what they can bring on top of the table. And so I left there, and then I decided I was chosen. I was, I could say, nominated to serve as a personal assistant to a member of the House of Assembly, the Right Honorable N.S. Ukocho, who represented Esereke Ibn Federal Constituency. Ibn Esereke Federal Constituency. And so for me, that was when my passion to be in the legislature was actually ignited. And what drove me into reading law was that I wanted to advocate and speak for those who cannot speak. And so in getting into public service, I needed a platform, I needed a space where I can freely say my mind, where I can freely speak out for the things I can speak out against. And I found the legislature to be that place where you can ventilate and where you can bring the issues that bother the people on the front burner. And so I developed that passion. And so I started educating myself, reading and preparing myself for what will happen into the future. And I finished school, and in 2006, we had to gather as a youth of our state, preparing for 2007 election. And we had a situation where the incumbent governor never wanted the then governor to succeed him. And then the youth had to gather and said, oh, this is our own candidate. And then we decided to rally around that candidate, who happens today to be the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Goswell Kpabio. I was at the forefront of mobilizing the youth, and it was a revolution. And with the second speaker in this event, as part of that revolution in our state, we brought in that government. And he, in turn, saw credentials in some of us. When we speak, he told some of us, oh, you have something to offer, you need to come work with us. And so he appointed me his personal assistant on protocol matters. I did not only end at that, I knew that a greater opportunity awaits me into the future. And so in touching that part, I knew that I was not going to do something greater without actually educating myself. I didn't go to law school as at then. So what did I have to do? I had to resign when opportunity came. I had to go to law school, get myself trained, preparing for this future. So I have spoken about the first one, which is belonging to a political party, and touching that part to political governance. The second thing is to get educated. And then when I talk about education, is to be totally educated, all around educated, so that wheresoever you are appointed into, whether you are a commissioner, whether you are elected into the House of Representatives, or as a senator, as a deputy governor, as a president, because I know that this country someday will have a governor, a female governor. Someday this country will have a female president. I believe it. I believe so. This is not me patronizing the female folk, but it is my belief that it will happen someday. And so I found myself in 2008 being elected and nominated into the 109 membership of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, the Pioneer Youth Parliament. And the things I did as a PA, the things I did as the things I did as a student union government president. Some of the youth leaders then who we used to play around under the National Association of Nigerian Students, then NANS with integrity then, came together and said, we are going to elect you the speaker. And so they elected me the speaker of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, which was a leadership and mentorship platform set up by the government of the late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, may his soul rest in peace, and then under the leadership of Dimeji Bankole as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I was elected the pioneer speaker. So I finished my term in 2 years. I got back home, and the local community rallied around and said, no, you have to go to the House of Assembly. And I had the elders of my community rising to say, you are just 30, you are too young, you cannot be it. And so by the grace of God, I must mention this, I had the backing, which is another thing I'm going to tell the women. I had the backing. First, I believe in God Almighty. God saw that it was my time, and God made me to be there. But God will not come from heaven to make it happen. He needs to use a vessel. And so God used a mentor in the person of the present Senate President, who was then the governor in his second term, Senator Godswill Oburo-Kpabio, His Excellency. And then against all odds, where the elders said I could not go, he said, oh, he is my boy. I want him to go to the House of Representatives, House of Assembly, because if he continues as my PA, they will not know his credentials. I want people to know him for who he is, not for people to continue to know him as Godswill Akpabio's boy. And so what I'm telling the women is that you must find somebody within the political space for those who intend to go in there to be a mentor. And then you must accept to be a mentee. Mentorship in this case does not mean godfatherism, because there are two differences. There's a distinction. In godfatherism, you are not allowed to say your mind, you are supposed to be a zombie. And in mentorship, you are free to say your mind, to even bring ideas that would help your mentor grow in his own sphere. And so that's what I enjoy, giving the opportunity to say my mind. And so the women should find great women who are doing things great to align themselves close to, if they must rise to those political positions. But somewhere along the line, because of speaking truth to power, I fell out with my mentor because of a few things that transpired within the state. I was a chairman, House Committee on Appropriation. I sat on the budget. I saw certain things in the budget that did not sit down well with the people. I felt did not sit down well with the people. And I said, no, I'm not going to give my authority on this. And then that was seen as me fighting the system in quote. And that was where my problem started. And then I was asked to, the speaker then was asked to remove me as chairman of Finance and Appropriation. My journey to Golgotha started. The powers that be, the system came up and said, oh, you cannot go to a second term because you have fought against the system. But something happened. One might believe in God Almighty, which is what I'm going to advocate to the women, with due respect for those who are not believing in God. This is me and my personal conviction. Everything, that's why my theme is Amazing Grace. Everything I have always been in life is purely by the grace of God Almighty, because the odds I have had to rise against has been very challenging. And so after then, they took the primaries of my party. They selected the delegates of the party to nominate the candidate of the party for the election. I was not given a single candidate of the party ad hoc. The system funded my opposition against me, but I went to God and I said, God, I did what was right. And what saved me was that when I got into service, I gave the people of Msurubium State Constituency what they have never seen. To the glory of God Almighty, this is not sounding boastful, with all due respect, with all sense of modesty. I gave them absolute representation. I made sure that the women had their fair share of empowerment. I made sure that the youth had their fair share of empowerment, and I was down to it. These are the stories by the grace of God Almighty, without sounding modest. If you go to my state constituency or you go to Akwa Ibom State today and mention the name on off your look, if you have 10 people to interview, if 4 people don't have anything good to say, maybe I can guarantee that 6 people would tell you that I have been down to 8 in leadership. And so what am I saying? That the people, the party's delegate, that is the statutory delegate, that is members of the party, came together and said, we are going to return you against the wishes of the powers that be. Even when my primaries was taken to a mobile police base with all the police infrastructure, the youth came together and said, this one has been our representative. We cannot allow him go. And so against all odds, even when I just went there, I said, God, I leave it to you. I knelt down in the field. I hand over everything to you. I came top in that primary, 32 against 2. I got 35 votes against 2 by the candidate that the government fronted against me. And so I later, by the grace of God, won that election. And the governorship candidate of the opposition party, a strong one at that, was from my local government. But the people said, because of you, we are not going to go with that governorship candidate. We prefer to go with you that we know in the House of Assembly. And by the grace of God, I met a member of the House of Assembly. I was earned the speakership. But at the end of it all, the same powers that we came together and said, oh, this boy is too independent-minded. We will not be able to control him. And so they conspired and said, I should not be the Speaker of the House of Assembly. What am I saying? Stand for what you believe in as a woman. Have value. And where did this value get forged? In 2009, I was elected to go into one program that was launched by Dr. Olusegun Aganga, known as Nigerian Leadership Initiative, where we were taught value-based leadership. And I took those lessons and I still internalize those lessons even till today. Every time I'm going to act in public service, the first question is, first, what is my creator going to think about me in the performance of this, my responsibility? The second is, I have a mother who is still alive, a disciplinarian. And then even till today we went somewhere and I was so scared to answer one particular phone call because I know that she was going to discipline me because we were asked not to pick phone there. And so the other thing would be, what would my mother feel? What would she think about this action of mine? So I am so bothered about what she thinks. The other one is my wife. What will she think? Is she going to be proud of my actions in public service? The next one are my children. How will they want their father to be portrayed? I am a proud father. My son sees me as his model. He won't continue to see me as his model, as his mentor, if I don't live in the righteous path. And so when you find yourself in public service, stay true to your conviction, and God Almighty will always lead you. And so the new speaker was elected. I was asked to step down. I did step down, bowed down. I bowed before the speaker, who was a first-timer, and I decided to work with him. Out of no fault of mine, he was removed from the seat of the Speaker of the House of Assembly, and God in heaven bears me witness, I never knew how the court removed him. And then opportunity came again. The same powers that be said I cannot be, but something happened. The case, there was a particular issue. The governorship election petition tribunal in my state had given judgment against us that we should go for election in 18 local government out of 31. And then there was this, and the case had gone to Supreme Court. There was this fear that there's going to annul election, and which is going to lead to a rerun. And so when the opportunity of a speaker emerges again, if there's a rerun and the governor and the deputy are removed, then it is the speaker that acts as the acting governor. And so a question was asked, who is that person that will emerge as a speaker? Should in case there's a rerun, he would act as an acting governor. The traditional institution will respect him. The women will respect him. The youth will respect him. He's a person of value. He will not sell the governorship election to anybody. That will lead us to victory. In answering that question, the members came together and said, the powers that be, the only person that can do that is Onofia Obanjo seated down here. And that is how I was elected. And I was made to become the Speaker of the House of Assembly. The truth of the matter is that if the governor does not want you to become a speaker, you cannot become. And so then to the House of Representatives, I think I have 1 minute left. And I want to tell this story. Even if when you have a party you belong to,
when you see the need for bipartisanship. I am not talking about hopping from party to party. Today, I remain a member of the People's Democratic Party. Consistent matters. And so we arrived at Abuja. I was elected into the House of Representatives in 2019. And we arrived at Abuja, and there was need for people to come together to elect the President Speaker, then the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. And we gathered together as new members. And we came out, all of us, on 6th of May 2019, and there was need to address a press conference. And they said, who is going to address a press conference on behalf of 178 members endorsing Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila? And Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila and Adubimini said, Right Honorable Onofio, you are the person to do that. And so from then on, I did that press conference, and I was made a first-timer as the Chairman House Committee on Judiciary, which I appreciate Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. I appreciate the House leadership, and I thank my colleagues. I want to end at this time because my time is up. Pardon for taking 2 minutes into my time, and I await questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Onofio. Thank you so much. We have had enough, and I want to appreciate you for going deep to tell us what the business of the day holds for us, the path. And from what you said, as my other sister will be getting set for the question and answer, let me give a special welcome to one of us, one of our own that just came in when you were talking. Let's appreciate Mr. Olani Yusuf. He's one of the WIMBIZ trustees. You are welcome, sir. We really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. So a round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. So please, I think for me, I noted some of almost 5 or 6 points, but I will be brief. Number one, he talked about to be in political party. You have to be in political party for you to touch the path of political governance. You want to lead, you have to, for Nigeria, you have to be in a political party, and you have to have education is key, you know. And you talk about having a mentor. You need to have a mentor. You need to be a mentee somewhere. Thank you. I can see some of my mentees are really giving a thumbs up. And you have to trust the Godfather. The Godfather has to be there, you know, despite your religion, you have to, you know. And another one that was so touching to me is that you have to have respect for your family. What will my family say if I do this or do that? Thank you so much, Honorable. You really hit it. You're a good man. We appreciate you. So at this point, I want to call on our sister, because she's the one that is going to anchor the question and answer. Let's welcome Joyce Daniel, member WIMPol committee. Joyce Daniel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my Vice Chair. I'm so grateful. Right Honorable, always a delight to listen to you. It's difficult to get tired of listening to you. And sometimes when I hear your stories, it's like I've never heard them before. And we thank you for sharing with such heart and such love. So I would crave your indulgence to give you 3 questions at once whilst we wait for more questions to come in. Because you understand the value of more women in, and us women understand our value of being in the system. The question is, how do we get more men to be he for she? What language should we speak so that men see that we are not trying to take from them, we're trying to work together. We are not better leaders, we are different leaders. So that's question 1. How do we win over more men that would be champions for women in politics and governance? The second question is by Carolyn, and I picked it up from the chats. She's saying, where do we understand political parties and their ideologies? I'm sure you get this question all the time about political party ideologies. So we should become political party members, but how do we know more about the parties so that we have make informed decisions? Or are there other parameters through which we can decide what parties to join. And finally, for this first set, the third question, so that you can take it at once. Okay, please let's mute that interruption. Thank you so much. How do we, I'm taking this from the chat too, someone has sent it to me privately. How do women in politics and those who are already in political office raise younger women in politics? Somebody else had asked this question before. So I want to tweak this question just a little and say, do you think it is actually the place of those women who have gone ahead to be more intentional about raising more women? Or should we make up our minds to be in there and find a way in, even as we listen to people like you? Over to you, sir. 3 in 1.
Okay. And first, I got the first question. I got it. How do we get more women to be here? I mean, more men to be here for sure. And I want to be frank here, and based on a few things I have, based on my interaction with some of my colleagues. Now, this is without prejudice to women who don't go the way I am going to describe now. Some people some people don't support women to go into politics because of probably the experiences they've had before. And so they get afraid. Let me start from the home. Let me start even from the point of education. Use that as a perspective. There are men today who can sponsor and support their wives to rise above them, because of probably the experiences they've seen women that husbands have supported or people have supported to rise, and then they are now coming to begin to, this is our experiences my friends have had to share with me about things. Okay, for instance, I'm going to use my personal life, for instance. I had my political life planned out. And my political life has been fashioned around which is something I would tell the women after, to read biographies of great men and women, has been fashioned around the life of Bill Clinton, on the positive note that having risen to the peak, he now decided to come to support the wife to rise to the peak. He's not afraid. So my life was to serve as a governor from 2023 to 2031 by the grace of God, take governorship at 45, finish at 53, and then go into international community 5 years, and then retire. And then in the course of that, push my wife to go to public service. And so for her to go to public service, she needed to be educated, greatly educated. So I've had people who've come to me and said that, you are sending your wife to this level of education. Even outside the country, are you sure she's going to come back? You are doing this, are you sure that she's going to honor you at the end of it all? So what I'm going to say is that, one, the women whom men have given opportunity before to rise should be accountable. I appreciate those who are accountable. Till tomorrow, I love and respect Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And I said she's a good example. I told my wife that I want to be like the Okonjo-Iweala's husband, that wearing my chinos, wearing my papas, wearing my retirement, then wearing my t-shirt and holding her handbag, and she's standing in the podium in the world stage speaking, and I'm in the audience clapping and said, oh, that's my wife. And so I want the women, I'm using this as an example to say, some men have fears. And so those fears are going to be taken away by the actions of women that have been given opportunities. It's a matter of character. The other one is, let's engage the women, the men. Like instance, I was part of the sponsors of the gender bills that was sponsored by the President Minister Nkiru, the lead sponsor Nkiru Onyegocha. I joined as the co-sponsor of those 5 gender bills. And on the floor of the House of Representatives that day, I equally voted for those 5 gender bills. Those were my position. And I don't regret. If opportunity comes tomorrow, I would equally vote for it. So the other one is, how do we engage with our elected people? The constitutional alteration is going to come again. We don't have to wait until when the bill had been passed, we now take placards. It was after the bill had been passed that the women took placards to the gate of the National Assembly. Let us engage our representative. Public hearings are done on these bills. Let us shout. Let us go there and submit our memo. Let us write to our representative. As a representative of the people, I took critical bills that affected my constituency back home, like the water bill, like the constitutional amendment bill. And these are the ways that the women are going to engage. Don't wait until it comes to time of voting that you now go, or after voting on those bills, we now go to shout. The other one is how and where do we understand political ideology and what party to choose? I don't want to be quoted out of context here, but today, the ideologies of our party depends on, because we have, just like Obama, I would quote Barack Obama, we tend to have strong individuals as against strong institutions. And so the ideologies of the party, our parties today, revolves around the personal character, the personal disposition of the leaders of those parties. We have made individuals to be stronger than party. That is why you hear the leader of the party, the president is the leader of the party, the governor is the leader of the party. In time past, the party was stronger than those in government. Today, the government is stronger than those in the party. And so the ideologies is where the executive goes, or where the president goes, or where the governor goes. So you choose a party that you want to belong to, a party you feel that has certain philosophies that align with your own personality. Mine was that I joined in PDP in 1998. It has left its original and founding ideology and principles. But for sake of consistency, I have to remain here. For sake of being, even when I partner with the APC, partner with Labour Party, but I am a full-blooded member of the party, because I am, when I was young, when I did not get into the political circle, I used to criticize very incessant defection from one party to the other. And so I don't want to, I have been trying to avoid subjecting myself to such criticism. How do women in politics raise younger women in politics? That is quite a good question to ask. Women are equally the problem of women in political space. Pardon me. With due respect to women who are solutions to the problem of women in political space. Most women don't want others to grow. I've had a situation where I've worked with women who destroy one another, who feel threatened by the growth of one another, who feels to support men to come into positions that you are probably projecting women to come into. It's not only pertaining to women alone, it happens everywhere. The fear of, in where mediocrity thrives, they will say, oh, no, don't bring that one. He's too intelligent. Don't bring that one. He knows book too much. Must we continue that way? That is what happens at the grassroots. That's what happens at the local politics. No, we don't want this one. This one will come and talk book. Which one would, na book where we go chop? Or na bill where we go chop? So women have to rise above. It's a matter of personal, you see, it looks like the natural default of mankind is thinking towards bringing down one another. That seems to be the natural default of mankind. And so you have to grow above this. I read one book by Coach Mike, Be You and Be Better, where you have to make yourself better in all spheres. And so women have to encourage others, be mentors to bring others up. And something I must add here, which I left. The things that you see as an outsider is not the same thing when you see as an insider. And so for the women who are inside and things have changed, they need to read and learn about how things are operating in the insider. There's one book I read that changed my life and my thinking. I used to be a very extreme radical. And in touching that political part, the women must be able to tell others the truth. What I used to say outside, what I've seen inside is not good. Like one book, The Education of an Idealist by Samantha Power, who used to be a human rights activist, but later got employed by Barack Obama in the Senate office, and later served as a national advisor in the Security Council of Barack Obama, who championed the things, who championed for the things she championed against when she was an outsider. And so those are the little submissions that I have to make.
Thank you so much, sir. Someone who was outside and I'm now inside. Yes, I know there's some things that have changed, and I'm like, they're not the same. We'll have to change some of the stories and change the narratives. Yes, that is the father in the house welcoming his children back. It's good to see them. Welcome, Daddy, and Daddy welcoming them.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So final question, just because we have only 3 minutes more to round off this particular session. I think the only question now would be, please, touching this part, because there are a lot of women here who are in the private sector, help us create this place where we have the handshake between those who are in private sector and those who might want to pivot or want to support. How best can the professional women support those who want to go into office or create some financial fund, some think tank? In your experience, I'm sure you've noticed one or two gaps that even men will do for men. Since you're talking to women today, how can those in private sector support those who want to run or want to pivot?
Okay, quickly. It's quite very unfortunate that a political process has been monetized in our country. If you don't have a deep pocket, it's very hard for you to. And so the women in the private sector needs to begin to have a pool of funds. When I talk about a pool of funds, if somebody is going to the House of Assembly, for instance, a woman is going to the House of Assembly, yes, the party is good. The party says, oh, the form is free. You're not going to pay anything. It's not the form purchase that is the issue. Is how, what the people in the local community understands is how you grease their palm, no matter how base you represent them. But in some cases, you are lucky, a consensus constituent sees how good you are. And then they said, oh, this person has been good in the private sector. And that's why I would ask the women, if you have NGO, go back home, go back to the grassroots, do some things. Someday, you would be rewarded for that. So you have to put money. If you are going for the House of Assembly, I can tell you, if you are going to the House of Assembly today, it's not for you to give 5 or 10 million. you need in the region of 30 to 50 million naira to be able to succeed in the House of Assembly. I'm telling you as somebody who has been an insider. If you are going to the House of Representatives today, whether a man or a woman, you need like 150 to 200 million. If you are going to the Senate today, depending on the size of your senatorial district, you need, like where I come from, 9 local government. On the day of election alone, you need 20 million naira per each of those local government. And a build up to the election, you need a build up consultation, primaries and everything. So for senatorial seat, you need nothing less than 400 to 600 million naira to be able to make a head start. That is what politics are. So women must come together to make a pool of resources to support their own. And then for the women who have been in private sector, they should not disentangle. There's one woman, others, I respect other women without prejudice to them. There's one woman, I don't know, I have not met her, but she discharged herself when she was before the Senate. And I want to meet her, the present Minister of Trade and Investment. When she reeled out Dora Anita, when she reeled out her CV and where she had come from, you know that she has what to offer. And I believe that she's going to relate back to the private sector to try to see how to pull more women. Like I said, you need mentor. She could have been quite as intelligent as she is if she did not have her governor of Governor Hobu Zodima nominate her to become a commissioner of finance and later bring her to become, nominate her to Mr. President Minister. She would have had that opportunity. There are great women with intellect. In my plan as a governor, I had 2 women that I wanted to make both my commissioner of finance and accountant general. Not because they are related to me, but because of their level of intelligence and pitching ideas. So women should, if you're in the private sector, please pitch any idea you think that can elevate the women, elevate society to the women in the public sector. Someday, they might not see the reason to look for that idea today. But someday they'll say, oh, and somebody brought this idea. Please, let's call her.
Well,
Please, can you occupy this position? Can you execute that idea? Can you bring that idea, that vision into reality? That is where I can support. And the women must do professional development. For those in public service, don't just end. The things I have learned with the schools I've attended, every position I occupy, I said I must find myself in an institution. In 2012, I was in Harvard Business School. I've been into Yale, and then I've been into Align Manchester Business School. I've been to London Business School. These are where I have gotten international, what I could call best practices of politics and public service to come and adapt them to suit local circumstances. And so those are my humble thoughts and stories. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. We are grateful. I'll hand over back to Lady Anne. Sir, I just might forward one question to you privately so that you might give us the response privately and we'll put it in the chat for those who are still standing by. Over to you, Lady Anne. Thank you, Right Honorable, on off your close.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable. You've done well. Right now, we are going to go in for the second, call upon the second speaker. That is Honorable Yusuf. Honorable Eunice Thomas, please, pardon me. Honorable Eunice Thomas is the Chancellor of Eunice Thomas Leadership Academy. And from her bio, you can read and say that she's an author. She's a conference speaker with a doctorate degree in human resources, including being a GIST consultant and certified relationship coach. You know, she's a marriage coach. One of her bio that strikes me most is that they say she's a sought after. So she's a sought after speaker. Honorable Eunice Thomas has captivated audiences around the world with her practical leadership principles and invaluable life lessons. With an impressive background in governance spanning over a decade, serving as the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development and Commissioner for Education. Do you know that she's the longest female serving commissioner in a 5 state? Please, let's make welcome Honorable Eunice Thomas to give us what she has for us today. And her topic that she's going to treat today is strategic positioning for political governance. You're welcome, my Honorable. Over to you, please. You're welcome.
Wow. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by celebrating the grace of God for such a beautiful day. And then to thank you more for the opportunity to speak to this great forum. I thank my brother who has done so well. And I don't even know where to start because he has brought in many, many points that I'd love to engage with. But I'll first start by saying that content follows form every time. Content will always follow form. Hello, I can't see my participants. I need to see them so that I know that we are together. I need to see them too so that I can be sure that we are all together. Please, can I see them? Hello?
We are with you.
Okay, please, I need to see the grid. All right, so, you know, for me, politics is a game. And the quality of your life directly depends on the quality of your relationship. Politics is a game that is transactional and relational. And if you do not understand the game, you cannot play the game. The reason why we are here today is because the numbers are bad, meaning that we are playing the game the wrong way. We do not understand the game. How did we get here? I want to compress for us a history spanning 55 years in 5 minutes. Your great-grandmother lived in the village. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, and she was content. All of a sudden, two things happened. The advent of the contraceptive and the advent of the women's movement. Two things happened to her. She realized that, marriage, sex was not just for reproduction, which was an economy. It was a reproduction economy. And then she moved into a service economy. I mean, it could be for connection and pleasure. So the language changed. The language from submission changed into the language of, service. And if it has to be good, then somebody has got to ask for it. So the language now became the language of transaction. That moved. She wasn't content. She now said, so I can now, have sex after 2 children and then understand orgasm. So I am human. I can ask for satisfaction. She moved from there to, I can go to school and take a vocation or take a skill. I can at least have education. She now understood the language of growth, which is the language of change. This chick now has become the PhD holder. When you were introducing me, you didn't say Mrs. Samuel Thomas. No, you said Eunice Thomas, who is this. Welcome, Eunice Thomas. It has now become an identity economy. An identity economy means that she has something that she can either bring to the table or something that she can defend herself with. All the while she moved from being a wife and child and mother and that to a sister, to an educated lady, to a rich woman and all. Where were the men? The men were stuck in their definitional masculinity. And the lives of women will never change until the men come along. So that is why we are where we are. Before my brother concluded, he said that men are afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of their daughters, afraid of their sisters, afraid of their mothers, afraid of their wives. And then he is preparing his wife to take public service. Why is he not afraid? She's not yet in public service. He is preparing her to take over when he would have retired. So why is my brother not afraid? It is because he knows the seed. He knows what his take is. So it is a matter of relationship. And relationship is because we are creatures of meaning. We seek meaning in relationships that we have. And what is meaning? Meaning is, what do you respect? If you hold respect for me, to the extent that I am relevant to you, you will want to explore the positive attributes about me. Now, if you were not a Nigerian today, you would be expecting Nigerians to write to the World Trade Organization and invite Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to come and be their president. That has not happened. Why? It has not happened because she's a woman. And being a woman is not her fault. My brother spoke about mentoring. He actually said something about my deputy governor. My deputy governor, he has said, has been everything. She was a sitting senator, and then she was now appointed a deputy governor. What was wrong with replacing her with another woman? And because we do not understand the language of politics, we do not understand the game of politics, and there were no people who understood the game at the table where she was picked as the deputy governor. If the women who sat there or the men who sat there had the interest of the women at heart, they could have said, okay, if you are giving her out as a deputy governor, another woman ought to replace her. Nobody made that case. I want to show us today 3 subtle ways that men have kept us down and out. 1, you are either a pariah, a pioneer, or you are you are either a pariah, a pioneer, or a token. In the beginning, a pariah is an outsider. Nobody lets her in. But the door opens and they let her in. She's one person and she's in there hoping that she's a pioneer or she'll be the first and others will follow. In some cases, the door opens for people and then the door stays open. In some other cases, the door opens and then the door is being shut right after. Remember Virginia Etiaba of Enugu State? All of us, when she became the governor, we said, oh, that was going to be a pariah. That was going to be the first, a pioneer. And then she ended as a pariah. I have not seen another female governor, not yet. It is not as if in those states where the men are governors, there are no women like Virginia Etiaba. There are no women like even the Minister of Trade and Investment that, delivered so well on the floor of the Senate. We leave that. And you are a token. You are led into the room as a pariah, and then the door is shut against your kind. And that is because they have made you a token, and you're comfortable being a token. Otherwise, you could have said, I cannot be everything. I am not the only woman in the state. I have women. And when women are intentional, they mentor their kind. The men mentor men. Why have women not mentored women? Women ought to mentor women. And when you are tokenized, when you have become a token, there's a study that shows that the number of your kind within a community drives the way that you're treated within that community. So as one of such women in a community of men, you suffer 3 disadvantages. 1, the gender effect. You're already one of not their kind. The second is the proportion effect. You are a minority that is against a majority. What do I mean? When they say that women fight women, please understand why. Women fight women in office because there is not enough room for other women to come in. The fight is not to pull you down, it is to replace you. When women fight women in public office, they find that there is just that one seat for women. So they want that seat. If there were more seats, they would be looking for those seats. And I mean, yeah, we should not, but that is it. Okay. And the other thing is that you can be a pioneer. So I was a youth. I was appointed commissioner when I was 33. I would say that it was God. Definitely it was God. But of course, they're talking about education, preparation. Preparation is important. But who prepares you? Sometimes you don't need to be prepared by anybody. You just prepare yourself and get ready. I did not have a female mentor. I didn't even have any mentor at all. I had no mentor. I just, was it my husband that mentored me? Did he mentor me? No. I just sauntered into, public service. But it was a challenge to me because all the while people were saying, oh, a young girl, I don't know how young I was at 33. But they would say, oh, she's too young, she's incapable, she was under. But now, what happened? I realized that there was a challenge on my hands and I had to, deliver. And I did that. How did I do it? I intentionally came and gathered the women, put them together. They didn't understand it, so they fought it. I put them together and I said, listen, no longer will we be PDP, women leader, PDP, women win. What's that? We are women, we are women. Let us come together, make the number that will start winning for women. So I brought them together. And when I brought them together, I told them we'll have to be going in our uniforms so that, when you wear the same things, you appear very conspicuous. You're many, you look very many in the eye. So I said to them, we'll have to be going in our uniforms. So some days we put red on our head and everywhere is red. From the air, you're seeing red hair. Who are those? Women. I needed to position them that way so that the men will suspect that these ones are strong enough to be accommodated. I also supported them through grants and scholarships to, just go to school and prepare them for the offices. I am proud of what God did because it was from that time that we now had women in every stratum of governance in my state. We had them in the local government. We had them in the state house. We had them as chairman. We had them as vice chairman. We had them as secretaries of council. We had them in elective and appointed positions, to God's glory, and then to the credit of the governor at the time, and maybe to my little efforts. Thank God. But then, since after what has happened, I would also want to believe that content follows form. When you understand the language of politics, it will be the language of complementarity, the language of you are doing this because I am doing this, not thank you for. How do you thank a person who gives you what you deserve? My sister, how much more do you thank that person that gives you less? So every time we have the opportunity of being a deputy governor, do you know what we celebrate? We celebrate the governor. We celebrate the people who made her the deputy governor, instead of celebrating her for coming that way, that far, and then telling them that we thank you for recognizing the value that is being brought to you, and that this is not enough. Relationships follow a cycle of, harmony, disharmony, and repair. And the only time trust is built is in that place of repair. So we should not be afraid to have fracas, to cause chaos in the political system, so that people can come and sit down and talk, so that we can repair things. Every time we shy away from the conversations that we ought to have, the men glory themselves, and then they frolic. They're happy because that is serving, their position. The discrimination is not only, practiced when you turn your back against a particular set of persons. No, it is a subtle way of combining acceptance and rejection, just so that you can continue to fuel your determination of keeping a people out. And we understand that. Only that some women don't understand the game. So they think that when the men let you in, that it is because they've accepted you. It is because they are going to keep you down. They don't have you there so that it will reflect their acceptance of your kind. It is so that they will be able to live with themselves, and they will justify their rejection of your kind. These are the things that women need to understand. Fine. The next thing now is, who is that woman? Who is that woman? Please. The concept is anti-fragility. Tell us about the opposite of fragile. Everybody will tell you resilient. No, you can be resilient for as long as the next hit. You're fragile, and then you move to being agile. That is you being able to move quickly and easily. You move from there to being robust. You bounce back from the shock. After you have bounced back from shock, you walk back to being agile and stay there for a long time. But when you have been able to gain from volatilities, from uncertainties, from shock, that is when you have become anti-fragile. And the only woman who can do politics in this atmosphere, in the atmosphere of Nigerian politics, is the anti-fragile woman. A woman who has built redundancies, and she has built those redundancies academically, family-wise. She has built the redundancies in mentoring others around her. She has built those redundancies also through her growth of her personality. Again, for her fearlessness. I mean, sometimes things have happened and then you think that, oh, you should give up. But for a woman who wants to have women represented, it must not be you. First, you have to understand that it must not be you. It can be any other woman. It can be any other woman. You mustn't be the one. That's one. Two, when you sit with men and have discussions with them, please understand the language. That language is the language of negotiation. It is not the language of plea. You are not begging anybody. There is no way, no matter how hard that plastic bottle is, that Eva water bottle, you cannot pour hot water into it because it will melt away. But as fragile as a teacup is, people will put tea in there and then they will be responsible for protecting that teacup. So until you have become that kind of a woman, don't put yourself forward. Don't put yourself forward. Look for such a woman and then give her courage. Gather other women to push her on. That's the kind of woman that will stand there and be able to hold the door for us. Again, we need to have such persons in the room. I don't know how much time I have left, but then again, the language of complementarity. That is the language to say that, oh, you are able to take the big risk because I'm back here doing the things that are not urgent to you, that are not important to you. That does not make you any less than that person that is out there. Women have got to understand that. When it comes to money, no woman in Nigeria will be able to match the men. The men have the number in strength. They have. They also have money. We can't match them. We'll have two strategies. One, we can start the Women's Political Rescue Fund, where every woman saves 100 naira. It's blockchain now, so everybody will see where the money is. We save 1 naira, 100 naira every woman every month. In 8 years, we will decide who the president is. That's one. Two, there is something we have to begin to identify the people that we want to mentor. We have to identify the people that we want to mentor. Time will fail us to begin to show us the kinds of persons that we can mentor. But whenever there is time, kinds of persons that we would love to mentor and put out there. I have 2 more minutes to go. I don't know what that a woman is like a tea bag. The best of her comes out when she's been put through the heat. Let us not be afraid of coming through the heat, because that is when our worth will be expressed. I thank you again for the opportunity. I appreciate you for the time. And please, let's take it seriously. Let's take it seriously. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Honorable Eunice Thomas. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. What a wonderful insight. You know, she talked about mentorship again. You know, I thank God for WIMBIZ. WIMBIZ have a very good mentorship program that you can have anywhere, both in politics, anywhere you want, you know, in business, even in career, public service. You know, they have a lot of people on board to mentor you on that. Thank you so much. And you talk about the women, when you are there, create more seats. Please don't just go and sit alone. So thank you so much. Please, I hope we are clapping for her. We are clapping for her. And she said we should gather more women to push women up. So when we are there, anywhere you find yourself, push yourself up. Thank you so much, Honorable. You have done justice to the topic. And right now, I want to call on Joyce for the question and answer. Joyce, please.
Thank you so much. Honorable Iti, I'm still shaking here. I mean, like my body is vibrating. So please allow me to take up the question of this negotiating when we get to the table. Because I have seen where we turn to beggarly language, pleading language, because we have thought that we need to appeal to some level of emotions so that some door will be open to us to come in. How do we actually negotiate? Now, this is a woman who is anti-fragile, who is well-educated, well-exposed. She has the support of other women around her, but she needs to negotiate at the table. Please guide her. I don't have 3 questions to bring to you at once. I have this one first, and then others are coming. The other question will be around, of course, you can link it. The other question will be around finding the right kind of mentorship and all of that. I know that we will talk about our WIMBIZ, WIMPol mentorship program, but on the field, we would ask you how we would identify our mentors. But let's negotiate first. Let's talk about the power language.
Negotiation is, first of all, you have to know the end. You have to understand the end. Where are we going with this? When you understand the end, then you will find your role in it. I cannot be relevant to you if you do not need me. If you're asking me to come so that you complete the number, no. if you're asking me to come because there is something you believe I can add, I can contribute, we start from there. Because if you are just to complete the numbers, then anybody can be the one. And then in that room, once they have told you that this is what they want you to do, quickly pick up a pen and a paper. Never go without your jotter and a paper. Quickly tell them that, yes, I agree to do this. If you will do this with me, do that for me, do that through me, and do that with any other woman that I will bring. Because they'll be quick to give you a woman. And when they give you a woman, they will use the woman against you. Tell them that you have women, but that you have agreed if they will do this, with, for, through, and with another. If you're quick to do it and they see that you have captured the picture and that you are going to, you fit the role and that you understand, they will now want to discuss. When you start like that, at the place of discussion, you will be flexible, of course, but of course, you would have secured one thing, some other person plus you. I want to tell you people, as commissioner, there was a certain local government, they were looking for a female commissioner. I didn't know anybody that I could reckon with in that local government. So I asked a colleague of mine to please send me a woman. And when the woman came, I told her, listen, this game that you want to play, you don't play the game to win. You play it to outlast the competition. If you're coming to play the game to win, the men will stifle you and you won't be able to play it. To win here is that you have people around you, men, women, youths, who can threaten status quo, not to defeat status quo. When they know that because of you, they can sweat, they will now pull you and negotiate with you. But if they will not sweat because you want to win, you want to oppose them, they will end it for you. She did not hear, she did not listen, and they ended it for her. They ended it in that she's not even alive any longer. So women have got to understand it. The game is not a game that you play to win. It is a game that you play to outlast the competition, because the competition will last only 8 years. So it requires patience. It requires you to sit down and be taught how to play and, when to run, when to come in, how to hide, no co-shining in politics. So you will sit down here and look for photographs of all the photographs that my boss at the time and my first lady at that time. You will have to look for their photographs at commissionings and at events, and you will not see my face. You will not see my face because I could never be in the picture. It was not my time. So no co-shining. Once you are spotted as one who wants to co-shine, particularly if you have maybe an impressive personality, you are going to be haunted. So you want to protect yourself so that you can last. And then so that you can, because the longer you stay, then you will have the opportunity to bring in other women. That is where the negotiation is. The second way I negotiated was that I presented, the numbers in women. And then I told my boss after the elections, I told him that you did not ask me to go and tell them. The women, I only went and told them, your brother has a problem, your father has a problem, he needs your support. And then they followed me. Now that we have delivered, I want you to give these women 250,000 naira each, whatever they want to do, let them. And then somebody stood there, another woman stood there and said, no, how will you recover it? And I asked her, I said, they give men contracts of 4 billion naira. They take the money and go to another party and fight the party that gave it to them without the state recovering. And you're asking me what a woman who has been under the rain, been in the rain and under the sun to support your governor will do with 250,000 naira. She will buy Brazilian hair. If she will not be wise enough to invest it, if she will not sell crayfish, she will not sell cassava, she will wear it. She deserves it. And I spoke directly to the governor's conscience. I could negotiate 4-something billion naira to give 250,000 naira to not fewer than 100 women per local government area in my state. Many women who invested the money now have money, now. So the negotiation depends first on your position, what you're able to advance, what you're able to bring to the table, and then what you now ask them to do in return, or just to align, in support of whatever it is that you brought to the table. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And then the question about mentorship, finding the right mentor, or finding a way to be in the right place to be mentored.
Okay. Now, mentorship is this. If it is political mentorship, women don't do it. I am proud to say that I am the only woman in Akwa Ibom State who mentors people. Women, we love to, it is not like we love to use people. We love people to serve us. Because we are used to our husbands providing for us, other men giving us, even young people giving us. We just want people to serve us, especially when we are elevated. And that is the wrong thing to do. When you know that you are leaving the stage, you ought to prepare someone intentionally to take over. What you do is start by discovering the excellence, that 3 S. Let's just do it once. 3 S. The first S is that somebody has got to be a slave in the field. So you're watching from out here. A slave takes commands. So you enter the field. Whose garden is this fine? Whose garden, who made this portion of the field that is this well made? And they give you a name. You go back with that name. The next time you see a good portion of the field and the name repeats, that is the person that you are tipping for mentorship. That is when the person was a slave and did not sense that she could be mentored. You have noted her. You move her to the house. And when a slave becomes a servant, at that point of moving, the slave has become a servant. When the slave becomes a servant at home, she takes instructions, and responsibilities. You now give them responsibilities. Go and do this. Go and you start testing her. Send her to men. Send her to other women. Send her, expose her to money. Ignore her sometimes, and then check if that excellence you saw in the field is the same that she's applying at the place of the servant. Because a servant has information about you to an extent. A servant has, access to some opportunities. You're still checking before you mentor the person. And then the third level of mentorship in politics would be sonship. When you bring her into the house and then she now inherits a few things. As a son, you have inheritance. Inheritance comes with responsibility. So you now tell her, look, this is what I want for you. You will be taking this from me. You will be taking that from the other person that is there. You'll be taking this from the other person that is there. That way, you now have somebody to prepare for it. That's it. You have to follow those 3 stages. When you're too quick to mentor anybody, you will run away. Some mentees cannot be mentored, and some mentors cannot even be pleased to be served. Summarily, those are the 3.
Flipping it the other way, it means for those who want to be mentored, who are mentees, we would be ready to slave at some point. We will be ready to take the place.
Not consciously. Yes.
Okay.
Somebody is observing you without you knowing. I've told you this before, Joyce, as one-on-one. I've told you that I am observing you on this and that, which is why I can't go anywhere where I have you. When I have you, I'm sure, that is what speaks of us. What you do in the field without eyes on you, when you don't know that anybody's watching you, what you're doing out there is what will now pique the interest, for you. And subsequently, the person brings you closer. And then as you discharge, if you want to be a mentee, there's just one thing that you need: excellence. Make it a lifestyle.
Make it a lifestyle.
Whatever you do wherever you are, whatever you do it with the consciousness of excellence. Just know that anybody can pick you up. And please be mindful of the things that you say. Language is everything. People listen more than they see. The ears, are both ends. While the eyes are focused, the ears are hearing. So you listen, be sure what you say. Your words present you before even, your personality is discovered. So
Thank you so much. Final question, because I think our time is almost out. For that woman who is here in this program today. Now, before she came into this program, she didn't really give politics a thought, but she saw women in politics, they're having this thing WIMBIZ has organized. She's now here and she has listened to Right Honorable Onofio. She has listened to you and she's like, I want to be there. She has heard that she should be in a political party, she should be educated. She has heard from you now, she should be anti-fragile. Now, what are some 1 or 2 practical steps for her to take between now and 2027, where she may want to run for office or she wants to be seen and heard in the field?
Okay, if you want to run for office as a woman, know this. You will, if you are the one that puts yourself out there, they will resist you. If you want, immediately you say, I want to be, they will, no matter how good you are, you cannot be. They will not let you be. So what you will do is you will go and begin to serve the strongest political leader in your local government area. But please, before you go, you have to check his status with the current government. Even them in government, even them in politics, don't want somebody in their midst to be too strong. So if you're good, you're presentable, you're intelligent, don't allow him be your sponsor, because they will come and squeeze you to get at him. Or they will reject you so that he doesn't become too powerful at the center. So you have to mind it. 1, 2. The other thing that you can do, if you can access your governor's wife, and if she's open, you can now begin to sell, not yourself, sell ideas. When you're selling these ideas, please show evidence. Oh, madam, the last time I was at Ikono local government area, I saw these kinds of persons. So I managed to provide 4 wheelchairs and so for them. I'm hoping that you can support them. These are the contacts of the people that I saw there. Your best friend he is, who wishes you well and for your sake. When she knows that you are not asking her to come and support you, you're not asking her to do what you could not even try to do. She will sense that you are sincere and that you're humble enough to know that she can take it from there. You find her relevant, understanding, and that you are already doing what you want her to do. You're not preaching. You're a signpost. You're not a signpost, rather. You have gone there. You have done it. You have been it. And then from there, she will begin to sense that, this lady, she's doing this. She texted me about that. She texted me about that. And she has not asked anything for herself. Sister, she would have marked you. When eventually you go and tell her, ma, you see these things I used to do. I think I can do better if you would give me the opportunity. Can you please speak to so persons for me? She will adopt you. Because 1, you're not co-shining. You're hiding to send her this text. You're not coming to the radio to say, I've done this. I want the wife of the governor to do. You are respecting her. You're not co-shining. You're not discussing it with people. So it is, you now would have bought confidence, and that's how she can speak for you. Those are the few ways that I know will take you in and keep you in.
Go on, but we have this thing called time that gives us some level of fragility. We thank you so much, Honorable Eunice Thomas. The thanks are there in the chat. I would welcome Lady Anne right back to continue with us on this amazing, amazing webinar. People are having a good time. Please thank Honorable Eunice in the chat. Over to you, Lady Anne.
Thank you so much, our dear Honorable. I can see the energy in you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can testify that what you preach, you do. Thank you so much. Okay, taking us further, I want to welcome one of our founders, Mrs. Adela Aziz. A round of applause for her. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And on our next in our agenda, please, we are going to take a 5-minute break. You know, in WIMBIZ, we make sure that we are all fit for everything we are doing. So for the break, please, it's just for you to stretch out, just take a drink, a cup of drink, whatever you can take, and we'll be back just in 5 minutes. And there's much more that is coming up. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. The next speaker is going to be wow. So our 5 minutes starts now. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Good evening. I hope we enjoyed our stretch outs and every other thing, a cup of tea, a cup of water. I hope we enjoyed that. Thank you so much. We welcome you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all. I think at this time, we are going to go in to welcome our top speaker for the day. And the topic she's going to present to us is citizen participation leadership role. And taking us further to that is Mrs. Margaret Dada Alamu. So a round of applause for her, please, wherever you are. A round of applause for her. Mrs. Dada Alamu is a multi-talented professional with extensive experience in architectural project management. Mrs. Dada obtained her undergraduate and master's degree in architecture from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and took a planning and appraisal of infrastructure project for developing countries at the University of Bradford in England. Following her NYC at the Federal Capital Development Authority, Lagos and Abuja, she joined the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing for over 30 years, where she worked. Mrs. Dada is the founder of Mordecai Equity and Empowerment Initiative, a non-profit organization. At this time, let's welcome Mrs. Margaret Dada Alamu. You're welcome. I love your smile. I love your smile.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. I want to thank God for giving every one of us opportunity to talk about our country. It's a beautiful country, a great country. We're endowed, we are blessed, and by His grace, we are going to be restored. I thank WIMBIZ for inviting me. I know that talking about people participation is not very popular. We prefer to talk about politicians, talk about politics, but then we forget that, as Abraham Lincoln said, democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. And it is important that we also look into how we, the people, the citizens, are participating. Because good governance has 5 major components: transparency, accountability, participation of the citizens, the rule of law, and human rights. And as you know, the center point is the people. In our constitution, in section 14.2, we are told that sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government, through this constitution, derives its power, authority, and authority. Over time in this country, it appears that the people have become faceless and voiceless. We talk about politics. I want to acknowledge and thank my co-speakers, Honorable Onyafok and Honorable Thomas. You've heard them tell us the path they have taken into leading us. We gave them the power according to our constitution. We donated it to them. It's like when you're employing someone, he presents his CV, you interview them, you employ them, and you go to sleep. And that's what has been happening. We go through the election, the campaign, we look at their manifestos, we have them make presentations, they debate, and when the elections are over, we also take a break. But what we forget is why politics is periodic. Good governance is continuous. It's a partnership between the people and the politicians. And as we are reminded in our constitution, sovereignty belongs to us. We are the people to determine, to dictate, to direct, not the politicians. Unfortunately, because the traditional ruling system we have, because the religious system that we have, And also, because we have military rule for a long time, we've come to accept that people should be voiceless. People should not have an opinion. They should not question their leaders. We should just accept and agree to whatever happens. But that is not true. And that's why I'm here, to change, to make us change that opinion, to make us understand that as a people, we have a critical role to play. And we can no longer sit on the fence and watch. We can no longer wait for the for every 4 years tournament as if it's the Olympics or it's the World Cup. We're not spectators. We are meant to be the leaders. We are meant to be the ones making sure that our 5 representatives, starting with the councillor, the chairman of local governments, the state assembly, the house rep at the national level, and the senators, that they truly, truly represent us. I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever engaged any of these people? The 5 people I've listed? Do you know them? Do you know their roles? Sadly, many of us don't, because we've accepted that politicians are the ogas. They should tell us what they want to do, and we should obey. But this evening, I hope in this short time that we have, we can see that there's so much we can do. In my experience of speaking out, of having a voice, I was in the civil service for 33 years. And I thank God for how He enabled me to make changes, not because I was strong, but just because I was ready to speak out. Of course, it has its own consequences, but things were done. Secondly, I joined a group called Congress on Christian Ethics in 1995. And some people on this program can testify. I was the architect in charge of law school. And at a point, we were told, oh, the Nigerian Law School Lagos has been sold. A group of us came together. We prayed, and we also backed our prayer with works. We took it up. Today, we still have that school standing. But if we had kept quiet, it would have been forgotten. Another landmark I remember from speaking up, from knowing that as a person, the power of one voice is effective, not to think when we all come together and speak up. We woke up one day, my 3rd daughter was told, oh, there's no WIMBIZ. Everybody will take NECO. We want a Nigerian exam. We pleaded, we asked questions. No. We were told that is a decision has been taken. Okay. I decided to take up with the principal of the school, take up with the owner of the school, went to Abuja. A debate was on. God bless her soul, Tokumba Ajayi. She was the newscaster on that day. We happened to travel together. And I said, please, I want to come and give a question and to ask those panel, what is the reason you want to change WAEC? And to God be the glory. She took all the questions. It was debated. And today, we are all still doing WAEC. Not because I knew anybody, but it's because I felt I had a voice, and this voice must speak. And I'm saying, women, we have voices, and we can speak, and we can make a difference. Government has 3 main functions: to promote our welfare, to protect us, and to punish anyone who tries to disturb our welfare or our security. And many times, we don't have the means of reaching out to the representatives. We take for granted that, oh, they are challenged. We believe that, oh, because politics costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of guts. There's a long process of nomination, like Honorable, I don't think it's Honorable, Sir Agbaje told us. And we've listened to the other 2 representatives. So we feel, oh, they've done a lot of work. But then the main job of politics is governance, good governance. I've enumerated the 5 components. And the question is, we the citizens, we are non-partisan. We the citizens, we don't have a time limit for our work. It is a continuum. It's something we have to do every time. Voting is not the end of politics. It is continuous, but many times we vote and we take the back seats. We also realize that the whole essence of governance is for the improvement, the growth. It is for the country to grow. It is for the individual to have their well-being, to know that they are being provided for, whether it's housing, health, education, infrastructure. And when we look at numbers, we the people, we the citizens are much more in number. And we always allow this position of, oh, honorable is coming, distinguished is coming, and they can do. But I just want us to remember this evening, if there's nothing else to remember, that I say, remember that government of the people, by the people, for the people. And remember that in our constitution, we have been given that authority. So what can we do? First, we need to address the issue of leadership at the people level. You not only need leadership within the politics, even amongst us. And this is why Modica was set up, to generate community conversations. We are structured in every state, like in Lagos, we have 245 councils. These can become neighborhood action groups, where we know who our councillor is because he needs to connect to us. And then we need to change the narrative that women. I've listened to all the strategies that were enumerated, and I beg to say I differ. We have known over time the saying that if you don't have a seat on the table, you should create your own. And I want to put it to us that there are many opportunities as women that we have to create our own table. Sir Agbaje told us many women are at the grassroots level. Councillors are at the grassroots level. We need to use a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down. We have so many women associations, town meetings, various groups, church groups, in the churches, in the communities. Women are playing critical role. But what is missing is the leadership to harness that energy, to create a critical mass that will be recognized and that will make an impact. So we need to change the idea that, oh, women must beg. We have begged for how many years? When we look at our earlier women like Ransom Kuti, Fumi Ransom Kuti, Margaret Ekpo, Queen Amina, Emotan, they did not beg. They took a different pathway. Mrs. Ransom Kuti created Abeokuta Women Union. She created her own table because she knew there's no way she was going to get a seat. So one of the first things I want to admonish is, let us create our own table. Let us use the communities where we live. We have various communities and begin to have community conversations. Let us get interested. I'm happy Joyce Daniels is on this. She's the one in charge of Q&A. I remember some years back, she was given tutorials on what the Constitution says. I signed up many times. There were very few women. And if you don't know what your rights are, how do you claim it? So one point we must also endeavor is to have an interest. Know what is in the Constitution. Know what our rights are. And let us use it to begin to make an impact to everyone. The strategy I believe is important to do is that we believe, oh, you need to have a lot of money. You must be a millionaire, billionaire. Community conversations just takes your volunteering so that you can sit together and talk. I had an experience. I know it's not easy. I went to a town hall meeting here in Ikoyi. I wanted to sign up, but the people asked me, the organizers told me, where do I come from? I live in Etiosa. They asked me, what group am I from? Must I be in a group to come to the meeting? Eventually, they allowed me in because they said, oh, do you belong to a church or do you belong to any? Okay, I had to tell them I belong to a church, Victoria Fellowship Church. They allowed me in. This is 2017 and it hasn't changed. This is town hall meeting, posters everywhere, that all citizens are invited. I put up my hand. For the 3 hours of that meeting, I tried everything to speak. I was not called. And that day I realized that enough of trying to help them or to allow them to call us in. They don't believe in inclusion. That is why I believe we, the people, we must begin to create our own tables. We must begin to hold our own summits, community by community, have conversations. And not just conversation for conversation's sake, but substantive conversations on the things that affect us. We've been talking subsidy, exchange rates, the cost of fuel, and so on and so forth. Where are the people? Where have we come together to put our own thoughts, to present to the politicians? And many a times I say to my friends, there are two groups in this country, the politicians and us, the people. And there has to be a way to connect again. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens in good governance affects everybody, whether you're a politician or you're just a citizen. But the people power must not be underplayed. Next to knowing what's in the Constitution and knowing your rights and attending meetings, is knowing who actually is your representative. When you employ somebody, it's not faceless. They report to you. They do as they are told or as they signed to do. Let's spend time to find out who are these representatives for your area. Unfortunately, we're always looking up. We want to talk about the president, we want to talk about governors, we want to talk about ministers, but let us look at who you can reach. Truth be told, as I was warned one time, at that level, at that council level, the group is so small. People are easily identified. They can easily know where you stay. And you stand the risk of you going to ask them questions and they come in. And I said, but how long will we remain in fear? It's like you being afraid of your employee. And so you leave him to do what he likes and how he likes. So please, I am appealing that take the pain to know who your representative is. Another thing I have found very helpful is to know that this is the time they are available. This is the time you can meet with them. This is their office. Many people have worked hard to provide this data. One of them is enough is enough. I must acknowledge the effort they are putting in to make all of this information available to us. And I plead that we should take an interest. Yes, we can aspire to become leaders, political leaders. Yes, we can aspire to become leaders in other industries, but all of us can be leaders in the community. And what is essential for us to do is to take an interest, make the time available, be strategic. And what we are doing at Modica is to bring people together to address specific issues. We want to do an issue-based conversation. Issues that affect us. And we're also hoping that in the near future, it will be necessary for us to sponsor bills to the houses of assembly. Yes, we don't have independent party here, but individuals can sponsor bills. And we are hoping that women who are at the grassroots can be enabled, can be trained. We thank people like Dr. WIMBIZ Kwesile, her school of politics that she set up. And I know many members of WIMBIZ and other friends have been going through that school. And they are hoping that many people will be enabled and empowered, not just to be political leaders, but really at the community level, there's a dearth of leadership. It's open-ended right now. And I believe that women have the capacity, especially strong women, to lead communities in many ways. We have professional groups, we have associations, we have old girls groups, and there's so many things that we can do. And what also spurs me on, even in the Bible, as a person of faith, we are told that if my people who are called by my name, you see, the people factor is very critical. And as a citizen, every person can play a role. Every person can look into the interests of the community where they live. And as we do the community conversations, we hope it will grow to become a statewide conversation. And from the statewide conversation, it will become a national discourse, that someday there will be a citizen summit where we take on issues like participatory budgeting. Our budget is getting higher and higher. This year is over 20 trillion. But the quality of life is getting lower and lower. Does it make sense? And women are prudent, that we all know. The cost of governance is very high. Should it be so? We've listened to the 200 people. See the route they have to take just to participate, just to be part of a political system. I talked to one of the politicians that just contested, and unfortunately she lost. She was sharing with me the control of the party, the corruption at that level between INEC and them, between the people in the community. Three things that is also essential in good governance: integrity, institutions, and infrastructure. We focus on infrastructure. Oh, he built this bridge. Oh, he built that house. A few years' time, we are not maintaining. Why? Because there are no institutions to support the infrastructure. And now we are all suffering from lack of integrity. Our social capital is very low because everyone believes that money is the be-all and end-all. Even our religions, unfortunately, have substituted righteousness with mammon. But as women, values are important to us. This country needs to have the values that we were brought up with and still believe in to be in the forefront. It's important that we begin to see how we can turn things around in this country. We cannot deny it. Every day you hear, oh, somebody went away with so many billions. And then you ask yourself, definitely he could not have done it himself. What happened to all the people working with him or with her? We thank God for our youth. October 2020, NSAS Sorosoke. Our youth are 60%, those who are between the 18 and 35. They're over 60% of us. So looking forward, apart from mobilizing ourselves, getting our groups formed, we need to engage the youth. One strategy politicians have sustained is to divide us and to rule us. If you are not gender biased, it will be age. If it is not age, it is tribe. If it's not tribe, it is religion. If it is not religion, oh, bloody civilian. If it's not bloody civilian, it is that, oh, these ones, they are educated. Let us say, we know Sabi book too much. So here it is important that as we are changing the narrative, as we are creating our own tables, we are getting more people to be aware that sovereignty belongs to the people. And we are over 200 million people in this country. The total number of political leaders, if you add the councillors, the local government chairman, the state assembly, and the House of Rep, and the senators, the governors, the president, the vice president, in total, they are less than 20,000. So when we talk about numbers, we have numbers on our side. We just need to be strategic. So we see that the situation that we are in, I don't want to talk more. Initially, I had prepared to talk about the politics. But we see from what we have listened to, I said to myself, I know many people have asked me, why are you not in politics? Listening to them again this evening, I don't think I can. But I can be on the citizen side. And the citizen side, there are leadership roles to play. So I just want to remind us again, people power is essential. It's not talked about much. We hear every day about politics. We like to talk about them. But I think I want to be a bit biblical. Let's talk about us. Let's begin to remove our own log. So then we can see clearly, we'll be able to intervene in what is going on in our country. Let's not sit on the fence, because it's either a yes or a no. You cannot be neither here nor there. And we are the people, we are the citizens. And the citizens need leadership. And I believe women can provide that leadership. At the grassroots are more women. You have heard the confirmation from somebody who knows this evening. And so we need to create a critical mass so that we will hold those who get into political power, whether men or women, we hold them responsible to be transparent, to be accountable, to be open to citizen participation, to respect the rule of law, and to also respect human rights. And I just want to conclude with the short minutes I have, that never doubt that a small group of people who are thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And so, let us remember there's the power of one voice, and the power of many voices will make a change in this nation. Thank you very much.
Wow, right on time. Thank you. We really appreciate you, Mrs. Dada Alamut. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I don't know how many of us note what she said, you know. He said, women, create your own table. I'm sure Madam Hansi will now know why at times we do a lot of things, you know. You have to create your own table and remember your community. Don't just wake up one day and say you want to be leader, you know. Start from the grassroots. Thank you so much. I can see a lot of hands are clapping for you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you very much.
He said that people power is essential. Yes, for anywhere you are, your community matters to you because you have to start from there, you know. And women learn to volunteer. When you volunteer, you'll be great. Women, know your representatives. Be leaders in your community. Please don't forget your community. That is what Alamuti is telling you now. Don't forget your community. Thank you so much. when I hand over to my sister Joyce Daniel, I can see her shining with her questions already. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Lamutu. I'm grateful. Throughout the time you were speaking, I was just like, wow, see, this is another angle of power coming to us, from the angle of the people. Thank you, ma'am. So the question I have, while we would invite anyone who does have a question to indicate by show of hand, we might give you the opportunity to unmute and speak to us. The question I have would be still about rallying women in the private sector, because those of us who are listening right now, we have the majority of us who have full-time jobs, who might be interested, but sometimes are wondering, how do I add yet another cap to it? You've done it. So please show us how. She has her job, she has her all the other commitments, but she wants to try. She wants to at least try this year, 2023, 2024, to be more active in the citizen, the demand side. So please show her how. I see Dr. Bilki's hand is up. Please, ma'am, let me call her up so that we can take the two questions at once for time's sake.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Dr. Bilkis.
Thank you very much, Ms. Daniels, for allowing me to speak. Thank you so much to all the speakers who have spoken today. You've really motivated us. Your speeches are incredibly inspiring, and you speak from ingenuity, so we can truly trust the advisements that you're giving us today. I also wanted to appreciate the part where Dr. Ms. Alamutu mentioned that you as a member of the society can truly impact from wherever you're seated. I currently live in Canada. I'm a Nigerian. I identify as one. I participate in the Canadian Society as one. And I can tell you that I am on the leadership boards, executive level, management level of many patient partner and community advisory roles. And that I know where my strengths are, and I am feeding into that and enabling that to contribute to the societies that I'm a part of. I want to encourage each and every one of us to do the same, because you have powers as well. No matter how little you think your experiences are, they are significant. They are monumental in the ways that you can change the lives of others. There are other people.
You.
Thank you so much. So I'll leave it at that. But thank you so much for sharing with us, and please continue to share.
Thank you for your kind comments. All right, Noye Umahi, please, do you have a question for us? Very quickly for Mrs. Alamutu. Noye, your hand is up.
Good evening. Thank you very much for bringing me up.
Good evening. Welcome.
Okay, I had asked a question on Honorable Luke's session. I don't know if it's possible for him to answer, because I'm really bothered. He said that the governor has to confirm whoever is going to be a speaker, or the president has to confirm whoever will be a speaker. And I believe that the executive power should be separated from the legislative power. So can he speak to that and throw more light on that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, we'll take Folake, just because her hand is up and we can squeeze that in.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joyce.
Yes,
thank
please.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that powerful inspiration session. Do you have a charity that you run, or some kind of things that you do for the community? I have one that I've been running for 5 years in Nigeria, and I would basically like to partnership with you, if you don't mind. Basically just to collaborate, do things together, because the insights you brought tonight, this evening, has really blown my mind. I mean, what I've been doing in the last 5 years, the charity pays for scholarship for children to go to school. We only do it for a year, because we're saying to the parents that within that 1 year, we want your life to change. Go and find the business, go and find the crafts and all of that. We don't want to be so dependent. We don't want people to be so dependent on the charity so that they don't have to do anything. So we've been doing that. Last April, we gave out foods, to 100 people, 120 people in the community. We're doing the same in
Okay.
In December. So what is it? What else can we do? And I would like to collaborate with you, ma'am, if you've got anything that you're doing. And so that, because I know that, together we are much stronger.
All right. Thank you so much, Falake.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamutu, I think 2 questions and then one more that would continue by way of partnership.
Okay, let me start from the last question. Yes, we have an organization called Mordecai Equity and Empowerment Initiative. And what we really are aiming to do is to change the narrative, as I've shared, and to engage and expand, purposeful citizen leadership, so that, there'll be sustainable development within the communities. We can get in touch with you, and we hope that you'll be able to, work with us.
Yes.
Presently, we are trying to make sure that people get to know who their representatives are. Last time we had a major conversation, it was on what is the role of each person, each representative, the 5 representatives. But next one we're working on is who are these representatives and how can we get in touch with them to engage them? Thank you. Then the question, thank you, that Joyce raised.
I need your contacts, man. How am I going to get your contacts?
We will forward it through WIMBIZ somehow.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Joyce, it's true, as women, we are working, we are mothers, we are wives, we are sisters, we are daughters. But let's be honest, we make time for things we're interested in, don't we? And this is very critical. So even if it's just that you can attend a community meeting once a month for 1 or 2 hours, I don't think the sacrifice is too much. Because we recreate, we go to parties, we enjoy, but I'm saying we need to give time to what affects all of us and what affects all aspects of our life. Good governance is critical. So we can make time. We can't have meetings during the working days. So except for when we may have major conversations, but for the little group discussions, it has to be out of office time or at weekends. We've tried to structure it to be informal so that people can make time as it's convenient for them. We are still growing, but I'm hoping that in every community, like I said, when it's within your neighborhood, it will be easy to participate than if you have to travel far. So hopefully, as we get more, as we expand, we will set up small units of where people can actually hold conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all those who've asked questions. And thankfully, we have WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been such a disruptor, especially in the political space. Our representatives are in WhatsApp groups that we can belong to very easily. If we ask the right 1 or 2 people, we will be in the WhatsApp group, so we'll make our voices heard. We'll ask for meetings. And these days, I'm seeing that more of the leaders are being responsive because they are closer. WhatsApp in particular has brought people much closer. You can't dodge, you can't run away. And it's so true. We can ask for meetings and we can make our voices heard and we can perhaps demand some more in terms of accountability. We deeply appreciate you, Ma. We love you so much. And I'll hand over to Lady Anna.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alamutu. Okay, at this time, I want to hand over to our dear sister, Mrs. Amina.
My anchor, Ma, please, are we able to allow Honorable Onofio to respond to that question quickly? Is it possible?
Okay, please, Honorable, please, you can go ahead and.
Thank you, Ma.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Madam Joyce.
We can hear
please,
you.
Can you refresh my memory, please, on
the
it?
question is about the separation of powers between the executive and the legislature. You know, you were talking about your situation and the governor setting his authority. Okay. So how do we deal with that?
Okay, you know, I referred us before to what is real and what is ideal. The ideal thing is what you have said.
But the reality on ground, for instance, be very honest, we don't have, I will share an instance quickly. We don't have people who can stand on their own and believe on what they say. I was nearly removed as a Speaker of the House of Assembly because of defying the powers that be to vote for financial autonomy for House of Assembly, financial autonomy for judiciary. I was nearly removed. I had my colleagues who told us 26/26, with due respect to them, let us go and vote on this matter. But when we had a meeting with the Governors Forum, Speakers Forum and Governors Forum, they said, okay, Governor said, okay, you cannot take all. We take two, autonomy of the judiciary and that of the House of Assembly. Don't give autonomy to the local government. We agreed as Conference of Speakers, both, I could quote, whether for selfishness purpose and with the thinking that when the House of Assemblies have autonomy, the next House of Assembly, since they are not cap in hand begging the governor, they can take a decision on their own. My colleagues said we should go and vote. We all agreed. They said, oh, don't betray us. So we got to the floor. And I went and spoke with the chief executive. I said, I'm going to vote on this man. They said, no, don't. We got to the floor. My colleagues that we voted, okay, first executive session, they said, oh, we are not going to do this. They started moving back and forth, not knowing that so many calls had gone to my colleagues throughout the night. And then in the morning, we're supposed to vote. You call some of my colleagues, those who are in support of financial autonomy to judiciary, somehow will do like this, and they will come up, they will go up, they don't know what. I said, if you are voting, let me see your hand up. At the end of it all, we had some people, about 1 or 2 members, abstain from voting, and then we had 12 members vote, 13 members vote in support, 10 members against. Do you know the campaign of calumny I had? Some people went to the governor and said, we've told you, you're not in control of the House of Assembly. It's the Speaker that is in control of the House of Assembly. So the truth of the matter is that the reality today is that the governors determine what happens in the House of Assembly. One, they are the ones that sponsor those candidates, to go to the House of Assembly. Those guys, behold them. So until we begin to have leaders even at the National Assembly too, part of the reason, yes, no matter how strong we were to have voted Femi Gbajabiamila to become the Speaker, it was because that is the Speaker that President Muhammadu Buhari wanted. And then today, the leadership of the National Assembly is the one that the President and the leadership of the party wanted. So that is the reality. Until we begin to vote people who are very independent-minded and then who are service-driven, then, because the fear is that, oh, if you go against the thinking of the leadership, you are not going to be given a good committee in the House or in the Senate. So until we have those who know, okay, no matter what happens, whether I'm a committee chairman or not, I am here to represent my people, then the reality on ground is that the executive determines the leadership of the legislature.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for putting more clarity to this. We appreciate it. Lady Anne, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable. You said we should vote for service delivery. I hope we've all noted that. Thank you so much, Joyce, for coordinating that session. And to wrap up, we are going to invite our sister, Mrs. Amina Uwodi Ogbai, member WIMPol Committee, WIMBIZ. Over to you, Madam Amina. I can see your smile.
Thank you, Nation Builder and Lady Anne. Thank you very much. Very inspiring, educative, impactful today, well loaded, well said. Thank you. We'd like to say, before we say a very big thank you to all of our anchors and speakers, kindly help drop in the chat box your take home for today. There must be one thing you're taking home today, what you have learned, what you have heard, so that we'll not only be hearers, we'll also be doers as we go to become better women. So we'd like to say a very special thank you on behalf of our founders, the Board of Trustees, WIMBIZ Management, WIMPol 2023. We'd like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Jimmy Agbaji. He set the tone when he started with the goodwill message. Thank you, sir. To our 3 speakers, Honorable Onofia Luke, Honorable Eunice Thomas, Mrs. Dada Alomota, would like to say a very big thank you for the well presentation for the webinar. So also our WIMPol chair for 2023, Madam Push, Mrs. Funplola Kodi, thank you. Madam Vice Chair, thank you. Nation Builder also, thank you. And to the committee members that also made this a reality with the WIMBIZ headquarter team, would like to say a very big thank you that this indeed has become a reality. I have some very few housekeeping announcements before we draw the curtain for the day. There's an evaluation link that is shared already in the chat box. Please confirm that you have seen it. We ask that you please help fill legibly and send to us. This will help serve you better in our coming meetings. We also have the WIMBIZ Associates and Live Members Monthly e-learning session coming up on Tuesday, September 19, 2023. The topic is developing your authentic voice. After here, what's next? Please, details are also in the chat box. It's important that you also click to register. We have the Windboard Institute training coming up also on the 28th September 2023. There's a fee attached. Please also check in the link also in the chat box and also register. Then we have the big one, the 22nd annual annual conference coming up 2nd and 3rd of November. I'm sure some of us have taken advantage of the early bird registration. And for those of us that also have not, it's still open for registration. Remember that registration and payment validate your participation. Please don't miss out on that. And if you want more further details, please send an email to conference@wimbiz.org. WIMBIZ is coming to London for our diaspora sisters. Please, I would like us to, our diaspora sisters, please send it to someone that you know that's within that vicinity so that they can also participate. The date is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Registration have commenced, and there are also details there at the chat box for you to also participate and register now. And if you also need further details, you can send an email to internationalconference@wimbiz.org. We're also excited to say that even in the month of October, there's a physical WIMBIZ round table that will take place. Please look out for registration across all of WIMBIZ platforms. For all of WIMBIZ upcoming programs, please click on the links in also there to get more in the chat box to also get more details, or visit the WIMBIZ website, www.wimbiz.org to register, share, follow, or on all social media platforms, Facebook, WIMBIZ NG, Instagram, WIMBIZ NG, X, WIMBIZ, @WIMBIZ, YouTube, @WIMBIZ. Also, LinkedIn women in management, business, and public service. So, as we wrap up today, I like to say to us that we owe Nigeria one thing. Let's go and make Nigeria a better place. It's in our hands to make it better in our times. Thank you. As we draw the curtain, do have a very fantastic evening, and God bless you, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you.